Shabbat Shalom and Happy New Year. I'm Robert Barr, and this is Jay Gilbert, a member of our congregation, and we're delighted to be sharing this Shabbat service with you. It is pre-recorded because it's New Year's Day, but we're glad we can be together. I'm going to be watching it stream as so you can chat, and if I have a chance, I'm going to chime in as well. But we're going to begin first by reading the opening of our service. So Jay, if you'll start.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Put away the pencil and paper. Put away the notebook and keys. Set aside the shovel and hammer. Rest. For this interval, no buying, no selling, no working. No laboring, no straining. Not living in the past. Not planning for the future.
This is a time for celebration, for joy, for mirth. We are here alive to rejoice in another Sabbath, another opportunity to be together, grateful for our family and friends. With no distraction, we touch and are touched, the great gift of the Sabbath. So as I said, this is Jay Gilbert, a member of our congregation, our bricks and mortar congregation, Congregation Beth Adam, which is in Loveland, Ohio. Jay's been a member for
over 30 years?
Over 30 years, because the congregation's been around, obviously, over 30 years that you can be a member before we had our building, when we were peripatetic and moving from place to place. But the message of the congregation really has stayed the same, a bold, innovative approach to Judaism, rewriting our liturgy. You've been involved actually in helping create music for our liturgy, trying to create a new voice of Judaism that speaks to who we are as 21st century Jews, a Judaism that brings in science and scholarship, that's not afraid of change, that recognizes that identities are going through all kinds of transformations. And that's what's so exciting about Beth Adam, and really I think it's kept it fresh. And then about 8 years ago, this notion of creating an online congregation sort of sprung up. We recognized that technology was changing, and that the way we interact with people allows us to create community around the world. Reality is a lot of the folks who grew up at Beth Adam no longer live in Cincinnati, and so that they want to remain connected. So we've been able to knit together a community that spans the globe, which is absolutely amazing. Our ancestors never could have conceived of this. So using technology, we allow this bold, creative voice to be part of a wide Jewish community, because the goal is to bring people together and to find a Judaism that is expressive of who we are. So whether you're watching live at 6 o'clock on Friday night or you're watching in archives, we are glad you're here. Leave your comments in the chat. We can all communicate through time and space. It allows us to do it differently, which is really cool. You can always write me at rabbi@ourjewishcommunity.org as part of the conversation as well. We're going to continue with our candle lighting, and then we're going to have a conversation, and you're going to get to meet Jay. I know him already. Oh, I was going to start. That's right. On this Sabbath, we create our moment in time. We pause to reflect upon our yesterdays and tomorrows, to renew our ties with family and friends, to restore our energies, to refresh our spirits. As the sun descends and shadows lengthen, the distraction of the day gives way to the stillness of night. It is time now for us to see not with our eyes, but with our hearts and our minds. As the day gives way to evening, it's time for us to welcome the Shabbat.
The candles stand before us waiting to be lit. We recall our ancestors as we too seek to dispel the darkness and banish the cold, to bring glowing softness, warmth, and safety into our homes. May the dancing flames of these candles kindle warmth within our hearts, wisdom in our minds, passion in our souls.
Baruch ha'or ba'olam, blessed is the light within the world. Baruch ha'or ba'adam, blessed is the light within each person. Baruch ha'or ba'Shabbat, blessed is the light of the Sabbath. Perfect. Thanks. You did a good job.
Thanks
You can light the candles anytime. So, as I said, this is Jay Gilbert, and if you've been involved in ourjewishcommunity.org, you've actually probably seen some of Jay's work. If you saw the Hanukkah video, which was recently done, or the Rosh Hashanah video that was done in September, if you've joined us for our streaming high holiday services, you've been in the choir. And so you've been a participant in OJC. So I'm really thrilled you're here, and I want to thank you for the work, and I want to talk about the work you've done with us, and let you, those of you who join us on Shabbats online get to meet a member of Beth Adam and get to know the kind of creative work that Jay's been doing. So you helped create the videos. Why don't you just give a little background on who you are? Because these are most of the folks who are probably watching now are people who aren't in Cincinnati, so they wouldn't have you associated with anything in Cincinnati. They wouldn't know that.
Well, my professional background is pretty varied. I'm probably mostly known for being a radio personality in Cincinnati, but I've been on the radio in Cincinnati since 1974.
What kind of radio personality are you?
It's been mostly as FM rock, Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, Van Halen, which is usually why when people actually meet me face to face after only having heard my voice on the radio, they go, "That's you?"
Sure.
Yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a time I had more hair and it was longer, and I looked the part
Right.
better a long time ago. But I also have a background in music, and that helped me when I was on the radio. It's something people should know about being a personality on the radio, with few exceptions. You know, everybody knows Howard Stern and Rush Limbaugh and Ryan Seacrest and stuff, and those people make really good livings.
Right.
But in general, the living of a radio disc jockey requires usually other sources of income.
Oh.
And I've always had those.
Mm-hmm.
All the years that I've been on the radio, I've also been doing other things, and that was writing and producing commercials for advertising agencies.
Right.
And because I have a musical background, that kind of evolved, actually stumbled into doing jingles.
Right. And go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just saying, for people who live in Cincinnati, I think some of the most familiar and annoying jingles.
You wrote.
I
So
wrote.
are there any on YouTube that folks who aren't Cincinnati?
I'm not sure, because I never put any of them on YouTube myself.
Right.
But they probably exist.
Right. So some of the ones that.
Oh boy. Well, I guess I have to preface this by saying, when I create jingles, I lose control of how often they get played,
Right.
or for how many years they get
Right.
played, so that people start tearing their hair out when they hear them for the millionth
But there was
time.
one that I remember that was the taste buds.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll only take half responsibility for that, because that was not my idea.
Oh,
the
okay.
agency came to me and said, "We want to do a
right.
commercial for pizza, a local pizza chain called La Rosa's, where we actually animate taste buds." This is something that Budweiser actually had done.
Oh, really?
Also, yeah.
Oh, they were about the same time?
You know, I'm not sure which came first. But anyway, so yeah, I did a jingle called "Taste Buds Love La Rosa's."
Right.
But I won't take responsibility for the creative idea behind that. I
okay.
just wrote the song I was assigned to do.
So those of us who live in Cincinnati heard Jay on the radio usually drive time. You were in the afternoon, right?
There's actually not an hour of the day that I have not had an air shift
really
on the radio.
Yeah, because I think you. And then you were also.
But mostly middays and afternoons.
Okay, and then you were also sort of did the music when we had big fireworks. You were involved in that at one point.
The radio station I worked with, WEBN at the time, is known for doing a large, spectacular fireworks show, not on July 4th, but on Labor Day weekend,
Right.
because it originally began as something to celebrate the birthday of the radio station, which is closer to Labor
Oh,
Day.
really? Is that where it came
Yeah.
from? Oh, I didn't know that.
And it was going to be a one-time event on the 10th anniversary of the station in 1977.
Really?
Yes.
Okay, this is
And it was
Cincinnati history. I
okay,
didn't know
and
about.
And it was so popular that it's been done every year since.
Right, and I mean, it's like amazing. I mean, this is like, for those of you not in Cincinnati, this is like people go downtown the river, both sides of the river, because we're in the Ohio, both sides of the river. There's always.
There's a natural theater for something like this down at the Ohio River, the straightaway along the Ohio River,
Right.
Where Cincinnati meets Kentucky, for people who don't know that Cincinnati is on the border with Kentucky. So that people can gather along both sides of the river, and then the fireworks go on the barges in the river and go straight up.
Right.
And that's been happening every Labor Day weekend since 1977.
Right, and people have parties. If you have
Right.
a downtown view, people are watching.
And a musical soundtrack is assembled using popular music, classical music, all different kinds of music, to be synchronized with it. It's played on the radio station, so that everybody brings boom boxes with them, and the music is just kind of in the air with
Right.
the fireworks.
So I've heard that.
And the fireworks has happened now close to 40 times, but I only did the soundtrack 2 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
But still, many people
Associate
credit
you.
me with doing it.
Sure, sure. Oh, that's how and then you were also involved. Your radio station used to have a April Fool's Day parade, wasn't it? Were you?
The radio station was known for doing a lot of pranks, and something that we just started in 1976 was on April Fool's Day. We did a thing called the Fool's Parade, where if you listened to the radio station, it sounded like we were live on the scene covering a parade. Sound effects, stuff, theater of the mind, radio. And we just made up floats that had to do with whatever was happening in popular culture and the news that year.
That's great.
And we did that for over 20 years.
Yeah, so you did a lot of creative, because you also did the Plummet Mall. You were involved with that. That was a local sort of spoof on an underground mall. Mm-hmm. In fact, I was I remember circular escalators. That's why I took a picture and sent it to you from Asia this summer. So Jay's very creative, and you also creative musically, also very funny. You also do something called Uncle Jay Explains the News, and you were doing that. I don't know if you're not...
Right. That was something that began on a local television station, because I work in media. I know other people that work in media, and I knew a guy who was an early morning anchor at a local TV station, and he told me that they're going to be expanding into earlier hours, and they were looking for a soft feature, something that was news oriented but maybe a little more lighthearted. And if I had any ideas, I should propose them. And that's when I first came up with the idea of Uncle Jay Explains the News, where it would be a guy coming on saying, "Hi, boys and girls, here's what's happened in the news. And if you don't quite understand stuff, here's what it means." But it wasn't really that. That was really a cover for satirical commentary for adults about the news.
Right. And other people have sort of taken off. There are other people who are doing it, but you were doing this a long time ago.
I did that. That started in 1994.
Wow, 94. Wow.
Videotapes exist of that.
Right,
and very embarrassing. And
if you go online, if you search Uncle Jay Explains the News, you'll find that. And
what happened was I did that for 2 years. I did that every Friday on Channel 9 for 2 years.
Really?
Won an Emmy.
Really?
I didn't know that. I got an Emmy at home. I'm one of the few radio people that has an Emmy.
There you go.
But then that stopped in 1996, and it was 10 years later, really, when I realized that technology had evolved to the point where to do something like Uncle Jay, I didn't have to drive down to a television station that had hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment and a team of half a dozen people and a control room. I could do it myself. I could gather the photos myself. I could make a video myself, and I could post it online myself. Right. So I resurrected Uncle Jay after a 10-year hiatus online, and did that for 7 years.
Right. So people can still look at those. You stopped doing it.
I did stop doing them in April of 2013, or 2014, a year and a half ago.
Right.
But they're all still up there. There's over 200 of them.
Wow. And then you've done two for ourjewishcommunity.org. You've done Uncle Jay Explains Passover.
Yes.
And you did an Uncle Jay Explains the High Holidays, actually.
That's
so there's two of those. If you go to ourjewishcommunity.org or type in Uncle Jay Explains Passover or Uncle Jay Explains Rosh Hashanah, you can see those. And most recently, you've been involved in our Rosh Hashanah video that was posted this September, and our Hanukkah video that's gotten sort of massive attention. That was you. We were working together, sort of trying to create a script. So that's how you got into doing videos, right? And then also there's one with Aya too. You did a short one with Aya when introducing the Rosh Hashanah guy. So Jay sort of is the creative mind behind the videos that we're now creating. It's really exciting.
Well, what happened with the Uncle Jay Explains the News when I decided to start doing it myself, I have a background in media, and I have a background doing some television, mostly radio. So I had a sense of how a lot of that worked. And when I started doing Uncle Jay Explains the News, the actual process of editing video in a laptop, I hadn't done before. I bought the software. I read the instruction manual.
Yeah, you're one of the few people I know who actually reads. You actually took the manual for the camera that we're looking into right now, and you read the manual.
I read the manual and just learned how to do some basic lighting, and I certainly knew how to do the audio because that was my whole professional background. And And the Uncle Jay Explains the News was something that I hoped to just get enough attention that it might get a sponsor or whatever. The reason I stopped doing it a year and a half ago was after all that time and expense involved, I just couldn't justify all the time and expense without getting sponsored. But what I did get from it was enough experience in shooting and editing video and photoshopping images to start getting hired by people like you and also some commercial interests to produce, videos professionally as part of that extra income that a disc jockey needs.
Right. So it's really exciting. And then what's interesting working with Jay was, so for each of the videos we've done, we work on a script. And my responsibility is sort of the scholarship voice of the script to make sure it really speaks to the value set that we're really doing. Because one of our goals is to present Judaism in a bold way, an authentic way, a way that is grounded in scholarship and history. And then Jay is to bring that creative. And I thought it was
the ruthless requirements of the internet are that it also be entertaining and short.
Right, short. And we were, and you wanted a cat hanging somewhere. I do, hanging from a tree. It's Rosh Hashanah. I'm going to fall. Right. And the Rosh Hashanah one was a little bit more, probably had a more serious tone. And Hanukkah, when we were working on it, you said, let's liven it up and sort of see if we can play. And being a radio guy, you went Adam Sandler. Because if you haven't seen if you haven't seen the Rosh Hashanah video or the Hanukkah video, we don't want to give away the surprise ending. But I was going to ask you about the surprise ending.
Okay, well, then whoever's viewing this video right now needs to stop it and then go find the Hanukkah video and watch it before you come back to this point.
Right, so you can do that with the service now. So you can pause it right this second. It's sort of like when Star Wars was.
Spoilers are ahead.
Spoilers are ahead. So, and when you said let's do an Adam Sandler takeoff, it means music is something you know, so you knew Adam Sandler's work, so we did that, and we sort of made it fun, and I'm in it, and Aya's in it, and a friend of ours, Paul's in it, and then there was a guest star actually at the very end. Take a look, Jerry Springer. How did that happen? I mean,
for people who don't know.
Lots of people don't.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know. We are based in Cincinnati, and before Jerry Springer became world famous doing what he became world famous for, he was famous in Cincinnati. He lived in Cincinnati for many years. He was a member of city council. He was the mayor of Cincinnati at one time.
That's not a joke. That's actually, it's funny because I say that to people, and people go, no. I say, no, he was a very astute politician.
Right. After that ended, he ran for governor at one time. Right. And then when that didn't succeed for him, he got an offer from a local television station to become a news anchor at the station. Sounds kind of funny now. It's become more common.
Right, and I think it's more common than it used to. Now it's more common. Back then it was like staggering. We all went, what's going on?
He did that. Became number one in the ratings very quickly and was the number one news anchor in Cincinnati for many years.
Right.
And it was during that time that the owner of his television station, who also owned the Phil Donahue Show.
Which was done in Dayton. Which is just north of here, about 45 minutes.
Phil was approaching retirement. They were looking for a replacement for Phil. And they asked Jerry if he wanted to do that. And when Jerry Springer began his television show, it was more like a Phil Donahue show. It was issue-oriented. It was very serious. Nothing at all like the Jerry Springer show
that the
world knows now. But it got no ratings at all. And they brought in some producer who said, all of these shows, if you're looking at them, they're all racing towards the gutter. Let's get there first. That's the story of Jerry Springer, basically. But when he became world famous and moved to Chicago and stuff like that, he maintained a lot of ties to Cincinnati. And when he was still living in Cincinnati, he also did occasional work for the radio station that I worked at. And that's where I first met him. And so I had a loose relationship with him. And then about 10 years ago, a lot of people don't know this about Jerry Springer, he started doing a radio show. It's a syndicated national radio show that was more in tune with the old Jerry Springer.
More thoughtful,
more politically oriented. Right. And it was a politically current events oriented talk radio show, kind of pretending that other Jerry Springer never existed at the same time. And that went on for about 2 years. And he based that show in Cincinnati. He was doing the TV show from Chicago at the time. and he would go back and
No,
forth.
I didn't.
Because by this time he owned a jet plane. And,
I want to own a jet plane.
right. And when he was doing that radio show, I was involved helping him put together that radio show.
Right.
And so I got a day-to-day relationship going with Jerry Springer. And so we know each other. And
That's how it happened. So if you now, those of you, if you're running back right now from, if you had paused and didn't watch it end of the service, you can watch now. But that's really exciting.
so that's where the idea came from for the Hanukkah video.
Right.
To say, we can do this thing. And, I bet you if I asked Jerry Springer to do this little 10-second thing,
Right. And what's
he'll do it. And he did.
And he did. And what was really exciting, I was his bodyguard. I was his stand-in.
Right.
Because we're about the same height, Jerry and I. So I got to stand in as you were doing all the lighting, getting the camera set. And I'm putting that on my CV. I figure that's my retirement, actually. I'm going to be a stand-in for Jerry Springer now.
Stand-in and roadie also.
And roadie. And I'm a roadie for Jerry Springer. I figure these are my claims to fame. So this is exciting. So I'm really glad you're here. And what I wanted with you sharing this is, all the people that we're interacting with around the world right now and the kind of work we're doing is a product of a lot of folks. I think one of the things that's really exciting and that has made Beth Adam and I think our JewishCommunity.org so vibrant and vital is there are a lot of people who are involved in it. A lot of times we only see the person on whose either voice you hear on the radio or whose face you see, but there are a lot of folks involved in the process of creativity. And that's what's really great. And Jay brings this great energy and this really excitement and an interesting sense of humor to the whole thing.
Thank you.
Which is fun. So we're getting ready. We have some things up on the board, if you will. We're going to be working on Purim soon. We'll be talking about how to create an interesting video for Purim. Purim is not the most exciting holiday. It's a funny holiday and a silly holiday, an energetic holiday, but it's not a holiday a lot of people think about. So we're going to try to figure out how to come up with a video that speaks to that. We have other holidays that are not even Tu B'Shvat, which is far off, a holiday of the trees. We're going to do a program about that. We have some other things in the works, some short videos that we're trying to work on, both serious and funny, but always we're trying to create that voice of Beth Adam, the voice of our JewishCommunity.org that speaks to the philosophy. I mean, 30 years, you've heard this voice a lot.
And I think it's a wonderful voice, and I'm surprised, especially now that technology lets all different philosophies, reach around the world to one another, that there are not more voices like yours. Because I think what Beth Adam has done and our Jewish community has done is take a Judaism that a lot of people reject, the religious, Adam and Eve story, the literal background of Judaism, which a lot of people in the modern world reject. When they reject that, they throw a lot of the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
That so many people who say, well, I don't believe these Bible stories, and therefore I reject everything that's in there, and I reject all of that heritage and history. You taught me, that there's a tremendous amount of value that is still in there, and that can be mined and used in our current life. And I think that's an amazingly unique thing that I'm surprised more people haven't done.
Right. Well, thanks. Well, hopefully that people will join us. They'll continue to mine some of that stuff, look at the kind of things that we have online, look at some of the materials that you've created, both fun, serious, interesting, look at what we're doing, and be a part of this community. So I'm glad you're here. We're going to continue with our challah reading, if you'll do that. Mm-hmm. Great.
As the fingers of the challah intertwine, so do we join hands in our common humanity, sharing the fruits of our labors. We cherish that which has been created through human effort. For it is through the work of our hands, the strength of the human spirit, the vision of our minds, that our dreams are woven into the tapestry of time. We celebrate the accomplishments of yesterday and today, anticipating the possibilities of tomorrow. May the sharing of this challah strengthen our bonds with others who walk upon this earth.
Baruch Hamal Kapenu, Blessed is the work of our hands. Baruch hazon ha'adam. Blessed is the vision of our mind. Baruch lechem haaretz. Blessed is the bread of the earth. And then if you have some juice or some wine, share with me. We celebrate the fruit of the vine and the bounty of nature as we lift the cup. For we are part of nature, which gave us birth and continues to sustain us. Even as we depend upon nature, so do we influence its course. To search for understanding, we've gained the knowledge to shape our world. Guided by the best of human wisdom and the compassion of our spirit, we accept the responsibility which rests upon us. May the taste of this wine or juice upon our lips stir within us a reverence for nature and a respect for human endeavor. Bruchim ha'chayim ba'olam, blessed is the life within the world. Bruchim ha'chayim ba'adam, blessed is the life within each person. We say l'chaim, to life.
Okay.
So a couple quick announcements. That's how we know it's Jewish. We do this at every Beth Adam service as well as every ourjewishcommunity.org. So today is January 1st, 2016. I want to wish all a happy new year and a safe new year and a good new year. Maybe this be my guess it's going to be in the United States. Certainly it's going to be a chaotic new year as the election draws ever closer. But we really want to wish you a happy and healthy new year. As I said at the outset that this was a pre-recorded service for a variety of reasons. Next week, January 8th, will not be a pre-recorded. It will be a live service. And it will be a service where we read the names of deceased loved ones. So if you have names that you want to include in our memorial list for next week, please email them to me at rabbi@ourjewishcommunity.org. Or we're going to also post on Facebook, as we typically do on Wednesday or Thursday, announcement that the service is going to be taking place, and you can post names there as well. But you include them. So on January 8th, that will be our next service, reading our memorial names. As always, take a look at what we've been doing. If you have not seen the videos, go to Cincinnati OJC, cincinnatiojc.org. That's a landing page where a lot of the work that we've been doing since September is located. The Rosh Hashanah video, the Hanukkah video, the short Hanukkah video with Aya, the resource guides for Rosh Hashanah and Hanukkah, a lot of things. And also check out Uncle Jay Explains the News. It's a lot of fun.
It's just UncleJayExplains.com.
Okay, but then you can take a...
It's dated, but you'll see more than 5 years worth of Uncle Jay Explains.
And you can check them out on Explains Passover, Explains the High Holidays as well. And those are both on your site and our site. So there's a lot of exciting things. Jay, I'm so thrilled you're here. I want to wish you a happy and healthy new year.
And you too.
And we close with the final words. May we know blessings those who are near, and may we know blessings those who are far. And may the Sabbath bring its goodness to everyone soon, wherever they are. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.